ribose is fuel for the mitochondria. So your mitochondria are going to do one of two things with D-ribose. They're either going to use it for fuel or they're going to convert it into riboflavin. And what I really like about that is that riboflavin is now getting a lot of attention for lowering histamine issues. So if we can get your body a nutrient where it can decide, right now I'm going to use it for fuel because the mitochondria are yelling at me, but I've got this extra over here and I'm going to turn this into riboflavin. I like when we can, I'm going to say, let the body manage some of these details. Honestly, when clients or others ask questions where they want to get right down to the individual metabolic pathway and then hack that, essentially, I think this is not always in our favor. The problem with us deciding that we understand what the body's doing is that we do not understand the incredibly nuanced checks and balances when it comes to how the body is working. And also, the body's orientation is to keep you alive, kind of at all costs. And so we need to recognize that there's programming there which we don't know enough about. That's number one. We also need to recognize that we can't guarantee where the body's going to use a nutrient. So, we take D-ribose, and we know enough to know some of it will be burned as fuel, some of it will be turned into B2. That's going to give us other benefits. So we've given the body some options. And I honestly think that that acknowledges the importance of the work that the body is doing for us and that we don't know the details. Now, having said that, would I take Myo-Inositol and take D-ribose? I might just do that. And the reason I might just do that is that these sugars are doing very different things. So with the Myo-Inositol turning up in the membranes of the cells, and I believe it's being used in these phospholipids. So that's where you're getting a fat bound to a carbohydrate. And we actually need to make sure that we recognize how important that cell membrane is. I followed like a very interesting professional at one point, and I can't even remember his name. I remember what his face looked like because I followed him on YouTube, but I can't think of his name. If I come up with it, I'll put it in the note. But his argument was that so much of what was critical to the functioning of the body happened at that cell membrane, that should really be where we put the bulk of our attention. I didn't completely agree with him because there's so much going on in the body in so many places that I couldn't wrap my head around the idea that the cell membrane was the be all and the end all. But that said, it's really important because what's inside that cell and what's outside that cell determines health or non-health of that cell. And so that boundary has really critical function, not just from the standpoint of what nutrients we let in, but what toxins we can get out. And the integrity of that boundary determines how well that cell can do that, at least to some extent. So that alone would probably have me thinking a little bit about this. Although from a purely foodie standpoint, the fact that I can use this in something and I can make it sweet also has my attention, because this is a way for me to get a nutrient that's not miserable, doesn't taste bad, and I have some flexibility.